In this video, we're going to have a look at how to import data to an Excel worksheet. But first, I need some data. So what I'm going to do is just, on this worksheet here, you can see I've got lots of data available. I'm just going to save this as a text file. Now you can actually get data from lots of different places. For example, you might want to import some data into your Microsoft Excel from somebody else's spreadsheet that isn't Microsoft. So how are they going to give you that data? Or perhaps you've got some data in a database. How are you going to get that data into your Excel worksheet? Well, people in a different application can save their data using Save As, and perhaps they can export it as a text-only file. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to save this document as a text-only file. I'm going to call this document sales figures. And I'm going to put it on my desktop just for ease of access. So I've got a document called sales figures. And what that document is going to contain is this data here from this spreadsheet. But remember, this information could come from anywhere. Click on Save. And we just get a couple of warnings saying that are we sure we want to save in this file type because it doesn't support various formatting that we've got. So I'm just going to say OK to this, what we're doing. OK. What I want to do now is show you what I've just created. So I'll bring that down. Here's the text file that I just created called sales figures. If I open that file, it will open in Notepad. There we have, as a text-only file. Make that it so you can see it. There's the text-only file. There's no formatting there. There's no formulas. It's simply the text. Now remember, if somebody's got some data in a database or a different application, they can save their data in this way that will allow you to easily import it into your workbook. So that's what we're going to look at next, how to import this data into your workbook. So what I'll do is just close and start a brand new workbook. I want to import the data into this workbook, and we do Data, Import External Data, and then across to Import Data. We get the Select Data Source dialog box, and the default for this is to look in the My Data Sources, but we know that I've just saved that data somewhere else. It's on my desktop, so I'm going to select Desktop. Then we need to find the document. Now just make sure, just make that up a bit, just make sure the files of type is set at all data sources. Quite often it can be changed and would only show you databases, for example, or would only show you Access projects. So that's why sometimes you don't see the documents that you're looking for. So I always like to change that and put on all files or all data sources. Gives you a better chance of finding the file you are looking for. There's the text file that I created, sales figures, and I simply select it and then open. And we get the text import wizard, and there are 3 very simple steps. Step 1. The file that we're importing, how is it separated? How is the data separated? And there's 2 ways we can work with here. One is delimited, and that means separated by a character, such as a comma. So each individual piece of data will have a comma or a tab between it. And the other way is to work with fixed width, that is to suggest that each piece of data is exactly 10 characters long, or each piece of data is exactly 20 characters long. But I'm going to use delimited because I know how we've created this document. It's delimited, and if you remember, it was a tab separated delimited field. So all we're doing here is leaving it on delimited. Step 1 finished, go on to step 2. Like all wizards, we can then go backwards and forwards. Okay, so the question here is, we've said that the data is delimited, that means separated by something. What is it separated by? Is it separated by a tab? Is it separated by a semicolon or a comma? There's lots of different ways. You might very well have heard of a CSV file. That stands for comma separated values file. If we were importing a CSV file, we would select comma there. Take that tick out. And then what that would do when it imports the text, it looks for the comma. And every time it sees a comma, it knows it's got a unique piece of data. But ours isn't a comma separated file, it's a tab separated file. So click the tab file, and if you look at the preview underneath, it shows you what the data will look like. Each piece of data has a tab between it, a tab between it, a tab between it. Finish with step 2, go on to the next step. This part of the wizard allows you to choose what kind of data is in the columns. See this information, this first column is all about text. So we can change it from general to text, and it sets that up as a text file. The next column is text. The next column though is date. So we can set that up as a date type of data. And then we've got general again for number and text. So you can set those up as you wish. Once you've finished, click the finish button. And the final step of the wizard is to say, where do we want this data? The default is to be exactly where you've currently got selected. In this instance, I've got sheet 1 selected, the existing worksheet, and cell A1. Cell A1. If we don't want it to go there, we can simply choose a different cell. So it's your starting point of where you want that data to appear. So I've said cell C5. Click on OK. There's the data starting in cell C5. And hopefully, if I just check this first set of data, this first column, we'll look at the formatting, should be text. It is. These ones should be date. It is. I've just selected a new worksheet and go through that very, very quickly again. To import data, we select data, import external data, across to import data, and just go through the wizard. Find where the data is, select it, open, and just go through the wizard. It's tab delimited. Make sure you've got the tab selected. Set up the type of data that is in each column. If you wish, you don't have to. Finish. Tell it where you want the data, and OK. Yeah, we have created a brand new worksheet called Sheet 4, and there's our data. That's importing tab delimited data.